Brad, good afternoon.
Afternoon, Jordan.
I appreciate you joining me. I don't know if you know this, but Prevail Pro Tips has developed a little bit of a cult following. And so I was getting a lot of pressure to re-engage the video series, but I wanted to give our viewers some premier content and resources that would be valuable leading them out of the pandemic. And this content is garnered toward business owners, small business owners. So in short, I wanted to kind of lay out what to expect with 2021's Prevail Pro Tips Series. And I think what we need to do first is introduce you, Brad Clark, who is an author, member of the Missouri and Kansas Bar, business owner. Brad, could you go into a little background on your business experience from the past?
Sure, happy to, Jordan. So thank you for having me here on Pro Tips, and looking forward to spending a little bit of time with you and folks that are in part of the cult. So my background, I've done a variety of different kinds of things. I started out practicing law, so was in Washington, D.C. and a securities attorney. All the good and the bad that comes with being an attorney and working on transactions. And pivoted to the business side and worked with very, very large organizations. Probably the largest business I ran was with a multi-billion-dollar publicly traded company, and ran about $1 billion division there. And on the private side, the largest organization that I've founded and grew was maybe $800-900 million top line revenue. So, and it really kind of runs the gamut from services businesses to manufacturing, both domestic as well as international. Have spent some time all across the planet in most markets. And what I've learned is that everything is very, very different, but it's eerily the same with it. And so the problems that business owners face all across the globe are very, very similar. They're contextualized for their local environment, but making money and taking care of your family is kind of a universal language.
Well, we want to lean on your experience, Brad, and take a deep dive into your book, Accidental Handcuffs. And just to lay out expectations for viewers, we're going to do about 8 videos over the next couple of months that dive into each one of the 7 capital sins of business owners, or as you call them, the accidental handcuffs that can really stifle growth and stifle the exit of a business.
Sure. Yeah. So you wake up one day and part of your life has passed behind you, and you say, well, what did I learn? And I wrote this book because I made a bunch of mistakes. And so at least the first part of this book is kind of a compilation of, and we call them 7 capital sins. And these are things that happened to me. And the interesting thing, the kind of the wrinkle about this, and this is not some kind of a business book, I'm not trying to give advice necessarily, but the interesting thing is that all of these things happened because I was successful. And the more successful I became, the more that I became blinded. And these things sneak up on you, and they happen primarily because you're successful and when you're successful. And so I'm thrilled to be partnering with Prevail to perhaps to make some of these lessons learned available to Prevail's clients.
Awesome. What are the 7 sins?
Yeah. So the happen to be 7 of them. As you do these kinds of things, you kind of group your ideas in certain different ways. But the first one is business concentration risk. And those of us that end up being successful, you start out with very little of your personal wealth in your business because the business isn't very big, and it kind of creeps up on you that when you become successful, all of a sudden a massive amount of your personal wealth is concentrated. This thing has been very successful for you. So that's the first one. The second one is lack of liquidity, and so it's all about cash flow, and even more specifically, it's all about positive cash flow. Right. Third sin is all about capital. and taking money from other people and what the costs are associated with capital. So when you take other people's money, there are always, and I mean always, strings attached to it. The fourth sin is borrowing pitfalls. And so what happens when you actually borrow money? So that's one source of capital. You can take equity, you can take debt. So when you take debt, what are some of the watchouts that can bite you with that? The next is tax rate risk. And a lot of people don't think about when they're planning for their businesses and planning for their personal portfolio. That's a different risk element that has to do with what's going on with taxes across the United States. 6 is unexpected liabilities. There are some things that can sneak up on you that you plan for. Maybe you have some insurance, but there are ways that you can get bit by things hitting you that in a liability fashion that you didn't anticipate. And last is, I woke up one day and found that probably 90% of my personal wealth was trapped inside of my business. And so at some point in time, you say, okay, I want to take some chips off the table. Well, how do you do that without destroying the very thing that created that wealth for you? So it's trapped inside the business. So those are the 7 capital sins.
Okay. During your time in business, which sin do you see most often? And why do you think that is?
I think kind of the overarching one ends up being the concentration issue. Mm-hmm. And it really is a blind spot because things are going well. And so you started out, you didn't even take a salary, and it's kind of those stories, you walk uphill to school, 5 miles in the snow, each direction, kind of a thing. But when you're successful in your business, things are going well, you're making money, you're paying yourself more, you bought a new car, and things are going well. That's when it really sneaks up on you because you're putting all of your cash back into the business. So that's probably the most prevalent one. And the second biggest one is thinking about on a long-term basis the tax ramifications for that and what the circumstances would be in the United States. And that's a big deal because it's out of your control. Right. So taxes and the debt across the United States, that's concerning.
It's funny you mentioned that. When I started at Prevail, I think the national debt was right around 20 trillion, and this was a year and a half ago, and it's now at, I believe, what is that, 27 trillion?
Oh no, I literally looked it up before we got on the call here, and $28.1 trillion.
Incredible. So
what's extraordinary about that too, just put that in context. I just had a second grandson, little grandbaby.
Congratulations.
Jackson. And Jackson now has $84,000 worth of debt, theoretically associated. So that 28 trillion, you spread that across every citizen in the United States, and that little boy was born, and his share of the national debt is $84,000, a little newborn kid. And so it's just staggering. So you think about the national debt as a business. If the United States was a business, we've got about $3.5 trillion of revenue as tax revenue. We're spending over $8 trillion a year. That means that if this was a business I was running and I had $3.5 million worth of revenue, well, my expense of $8 million, I'd be losing $4.5 trillion or $1 million a year. Yeah. It's not sustainable. So it's very. So when I flag a tax rate risk, the only solution to this is to raise taxes, and you pay attention to what's going on across the United States right now. That's likely happening.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time and for joining us and for taking the time here over the next couple of months to lead our viewers through your book. And next time we get together, we're going to concentrate on chapter 1, which is business concentration risk. Yep. That's the sin that we're going to highlight. So,
absolutely.
Anyone that wants to learn more or wants to engage more, have a conversation with Brad, learn more about a specific topic that we cover, comment or message us from the video, and we'll send you a free copy of Brad's book. Looking forward to seeing y'all next time. Thank you again for joining us. Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye now.